Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Here's a midday update on the election, COVID, and stimulus. Biden has 264 electoral votes. Trump is at 214. Biden needs just one more state. That could be either Georgia, Pennsylvania, or Nevada. Pennsylvania is a must-have state for Donald Trump. Biden and Harris will address the nation together at 8 p.m. tonight Eastern Time. Some expect Biden and Harris to call the election. Also, ABC News has confirmed that ballots in Pennsylvania that arrived after polls closed on Election Day are currently not part of the Pennsylvania vote. They are instead, those ballots are being sequestered at the moment as the Trump legal battle continues. Also, quick reminder, as we continue into the other topics here, this is a very important time to consider getting your money into the stock market, and I highly recommend Webull. You can deposit $100 with Webull, and they will give you 3 free stocks to start off with, worth up to $1,600. Check that out via the link down below, right next to the link for life insurance, which you can get in as little as 5 minutes. The GOP is currently challenging ballots that may have been cast without a postmark as well, despite being mail-in ballots. And you would think mail-in ballots would have a postmark. A postmark determines which date a ballot was actually received by the post office, and this is crucial for determining vote validity. It is unlikely at this point, though, that even removing any of these questionable ballots without a postmark would be meaningful in any differences due to the vote differences between Trump and Biden. Meanwhile, we have Kevin McCarthy, who states that this fight is far from over. He says Republicans will not back down from this battle. Trump says he will not stop fighting. In fact, he released the following press statement. The election is not over. The false projection of Biden as the winner is based on results in 4 states that are far from final. Georgia is headed for a recount. This is true. Where we are confident we will find ballots improperly harvested. Trump says he's confident about that. Where President Trump will ultimately prevail. There were many irregularities in Pennsylvania, including having election officials prevent our volunteer legal observers from having meaningful access to vote counting locations. This word, by the way, the word choice on meaningful access is very important. They were given access, but Republicans are arguing they were not given close enough access or not as close of access as what Democrats have had, and therefore they filed a lawsuit, which the judge then said, look, both sides, y'all could be within 6 feet, okay? And so both sides agreed to that. We prevailed in court on our challenge. Yes, the judge said, both sides, you get 6 feet. But we were deprived of valuable time and denied the transparency we were entitled to under state law. In Nevada, there appear to be thousands of individuals who improperly cast mail ballots. This is referencing 3,000 ballots in Nevada that have now been referred to the country's attorney general for criminal review. Then he goes on to say, finally, or this is the press statement from the White House, but this is essentially Trump. Finally, the president is on course to win Arizona outright, despite the irresponsible and erroneous calling of the state for Biden by Fox News and the Associated Press. Biden is relying on these states for his phony claim on the White House. But once the election is final, President Trump will be reelected. This, by the way, comes at the same time as Larry Kudlow says there will be a peaceful transfer of power if there is a transfer of power, that Trump will follow the laws of this country. Furthermore, Nevada expects to count over 63,000 ballots over the next 2 days. Right now, Biden has a 20,000 vote lead. As a side note, 40% of Alaska's ballots won't be counted until next week. This is because of a massive surge in mail-in ballots that have really slowed down the entire country's ballot counting procedures. On COVID, and then we'll get into stimulus. Cases in the United States are over 120,000 cases within the last 24 hours and trending up. Sweden, long seen as a maskless society that's been kicking our butt on COVID, is currently now seeing a, quote, very serious situation as COVID is making a resurgence in the country with higher mortality rates and case rates than many of its neighboring countries. Austria is calling this second wave much stronger, much more serious, and much more dynamic and powerful. They say we're likely to run out of intensive care beds within weeks in Austria. In Denmark, residences in 7 districts were told to shut down as well as businesses. And 15 million minks will also be killed because COVID may have mutated back to infecting animals and now be linked to COVID coming back to humans from minks. And this mutation is a huge cause for concern for vaccine development. Does this mean if we now have a mutated form of COVID spreading around that the vaccine won't work? Now keep this in mind. Viruses, they mutate regularly. Most vaccines for viruses are still deemed to be between 60 to 80% effective. Considering these mutations, they can still work even with these mutations. However, if we get a significant or major mutation, yes, it is possible the effectiveness of a vaccine could decline. Just for reference, by the way, minks are popular for their fur. One mink coat takes as much fur as 60 minks to make one coat. And while that might sound harsh, realize that Denmark, which is now following the Netherlands, which have already done that, is going to be killing 15 million minks because of COVID transmission. Meanwhile, Britain is reimposing quarantine restrictions on their neighbors, and Australia is giving us some good news. The state of Victoria now has gone 7 days without any locally transmitted COVID cases. However, they had to go on to a grueling 111-day lockdown to get this virus crushed. This was only supposed to be a 60-day lockdown in Australia, and they almost doubled that. On stimulus, Republicans said Friday with upbeat job numbers and fewer seats in the House being won by Democrats, Republicans believe that they now have a mandate to do a smaller bill and fight Nancy Pelosi's larger package. This literally means Republicans are saying, hey, well, we ended up picking more seats. I guess that means the people want less stimulus. Mitch McConnell said the job numbers support, quote, the argument I've been making for the last few months. That something smaller, rather than throwing another $3 trillion at this issue, is more appropriate, with it highly targeted towards things that are directly related to the coronavirus. This goes to reiterate that most Republicans are indeed indifferent on stimulus. Now all eyes again are focusing towards Georgia for the January runoff. If Democrats can get 50 seats in the Senate, Democrats would essentially have complete control. The House, the Senate, and the presidency, and would easily be able to slide in a large stimulus package. However, that could lead to an upset in the stock market, as right now, the stock market sees a Republican-controlled Senate as an opportunity to prevent corporate tax changes, personal tax changes, a Green New Deal, and some other left-leaning priorities. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to get your 3 free stocks with Webull. Get your life insurance, and folks, we'll see you next time.